America and consumerism and capitalism around Christmas. Is that the case?
Yes, it is, and I often use scenes from other movies in my movies because I like the context of it. I like to be able to put my own work in the context of what's come before and maybe what might come after. And I find that it's also a good way of communicating to the audience what the origins are of the movie and maybe the origins of the way I'm approaching the movie. And plus, people like to, they identify with the clips that they see because it means something to them. It's a connection. And that means that the characters in the movie have the same connection, so the audience has more of a connection with the characters. And I just find it a very useful tool. And this particular picture, I would have to call it the gift that keeps on giving, because this movie is 40 years old. All you people are here to see it, yet again. How many people have already seen this picture? How many have not? Ooh, I better be careful what I don't give away.
I'm jealous of them, they get to see it for the first time.
And the other thing about seeing this movie with an audience is, it's an audience movie. It's a much better movie with an audience than it is watching it on your computer or even watching it on TCM. There's something about the communal experience that is the reason that we all fell in love with movies and the reason why we are still drawn to them. And why you're here, and why you're on this cruise, and why you've gone to all the movies that you've gone to see. And you must admit that every single movie that you've seen here has been a much more exciting experience because you saw it here in an audience.
And I want to point out the brooch I'm wearing belonged to Donna Reed. So that's my little nod to It's a Wonderful Life. But also the look of this film reminds me of a classic film in that the town is not quite a real town. It sort of feels like a fantasy town in the same way that those classic films don't feel like real places.
Well, that was intentional. The original idea was to shoot this picture on location in a real place. And once we got the looks of the Gremlins, I said, this picture needs to be stylized. These Gremlins are not going to look real if you take them out on the curb and shoot them in the sunlight. You've got to make this movie look like an old movie. And so basically, I think one of the reasons it's been so timeless is that there's not an idea that this is set particularly in 1984. There's no references to tell you that that's when it was set. It could be set in 1946. It could be set a little later, but it's definitely supposed to look like an old movie. And the aesthetic of the movie and of the characters is like the kind of characters that we're used to seeing in movies. And particularly, one of the other reasons I think the picture has survived into people's minds is the character of Gizmo, who is the first gremlin, the fuzzy one, the cute one, that Hoyt Axton finds and brings home to his son. During the making of the movie, we had to get our designs approved by Stephen, and he was always turning down the designs. That's not right. That one looks like Peter Ustor. I don't like that. and so we were finally getting to the point where we had to start shooting. And so we hit on the idea of making the color of Gizmo the same color as Stephen's Cocker Spaniel. And that worked. He said, oh, that's good. But it backfired a little bit because he fell in love with Gizmo to the point where in the script, he was supposed to turn into Stripe the bad gremlin after about, half an hour. And Stephen said, I like this character. I think he should stick around for the whole movie. He should be the hero's pal. Well, we had this little puppet with bolts inside, and we figured it was good enough to get away with for half an hour. But now he had to be like the second hero of the movie. And the kid has a dog, but now he's got another pet. He's got Gizmo. And so we did our best to try to figure out a way to make this thing look real. We built a giant Gizmo head for close-ups, and it was kind of creepy, but we did manage to turn him into a character, and aided by the voice that Howie Mandel gave us from another character that he had done, he humanized it to a point where it's become so beloved that people have started naming their pets after Gizmo.